Change is unavoidable, but growth is optional. In our ever-changing globalized world, what does growth look like? We often assume it means getting bigger or greater in size, when in fact, growth can mean changing mindsets, learning, and instilling hope. Our guest today knows what it takes to launch a business from inception to succession. She exudes an entrepreneurial spirit and actively promotes Jamaican philanthropy. I welcome a successful Jamaican entrepreneur, diplomat, mentor, mother, and a titan of industry, Thalia Lyn. This is Wealth Unlocked.
How are you?
By the way, I'm so tempted to say Madam Chair, but we're going to keep it casual for today. You good?
I'm good.
Okay, great. So we're going to get straight into it, and I want to start at the core, the foundation. What makes Thalia Lyn Thalia Lyn?
What makes Thalia Lyn Thalia Lyn? Wow. I guess I was born disruptive, and know it's a good word, and I think that's what makes me the way I am. I just tend to be a little bit over the edge.
Give us a few examples, especially from those childhood years that show the disruptive side.
Oh, well, I wasn't being a little girl playing with dolls. I wanted to play cricket with the boys until the ball hit me right here. And I wanted to climb trees. And I remember climbing a breadfruit tree. Didn't realize the branches were so brittle. And my boy cousin and I broke the branch off, and we quickly dragged it away and got some mud and patched up the part where the branch broke, but we hid the branch, and nobody saw that we had broken a branch. We were not very good. But I was an obedient child, so it was not until you told me I couldn't do that I was obedient, in other words. But
okay.
I was fairly good at the rules.
Okay. Fair enough. But there's an area of your early career that I think may have required a little obedience, but so I'm curious to hear how the disruptive side played a role. So in your early career, and I don't think many of your fans or followers know, you actually sold mutual funds in Canada. You were an investment dealer. So tell me what it was like being an investment dealer, and also I'm curious, how did the knowledge and experience that you gain play a part in your wealth creation journey?
Well, it was something completely new to me because I was more marketing mutual funds. I did the mutual fund course, I did the Canadian securities course, which qualified me to be a dealer or an investment manager. So I would visit different companies and encourage the company to sell our mutual funds, because I worked for a mutual fund company, and that's where I met Mike Lee Chin. You know, so that was the beginning of our long friendship. But it made me realize if I'm going to visit people and I'm telling them you have to invest for the future, I'm thinking they're going to say, well, have you? And I decided then that I needed to start for my children.
Okay, so you use that experience to start your own wealth creation journey.
Correct.
So you spent some time in Canada. It was over a decade. How long you were?
It was on and off because we moved there. My husband then, Michael, he then got a call from Air Jamaica. So he kind of moved back to Jamaica. I stayed there with the two boys, but the commuting wasn't easy. So we moved back to Jamaica for a time, then we moved back to Canada. So in between all of that, though, I was still in the investment business. So I gained more and more experience as I went along, met more and more people, traveled a lot more. And, you know, I have to say that was a lovely experience.
Good.
Really good experience.
So what motivated you to make the final move back? And do you think that if you stayed, you would have led this fulfilled life that you have?
I think it would have been just as fulfilling in Canada, mainly because the mutual fund I worked with, that company, my brother Ray, he then, when I was making the final move back to Jamaica, he came in It was at that time owned by one single gentleman, Bob McCrae, who was an Air Canada airline pilot, and we kind of met him.
This is CI Mutual Funds.
Yes, CI Mutual Funds. But when I was working with Bob McCrae, it was just he and I.
Ah.
And I remember when we reached $1 million in assets, it was like, wow. Then we got to $5 million, and that was euphoria. And that's when I left. Ray came into the business, and you know, he likes to say, I'm his older sister, right? And he got all the brains, but he didn't get all the brains. I got some too, but what he did, I couldn't have done. You know, he transformed that business into CI Mutual Funds, which is one of the largest mutual funds in Canada today. But I think if I had stayed, I could have been a part of it. I wouldn't have been able to probably lead the way my brother did. But I think I would have enjoyed a higher euphoria, if there's such a thing. And it would have been very fulfilling. What I do know, though, is I didn't like the cold. And it would have been hard to commute.
Yes.
So I came back to Jamaica, and I have to say, I wouldn't say happy ever after, although I've been married for 55 years, but it has been very rewarding for me,
of course,
to be here in Jamaica.
And you indeed have got some of the brains, and you did your own transformation. So, you know, let's talk about the Island Grill story, because of course I couldn't have you here and we not talk about Island Grill. Thalia Lyn, the chicken mistress, is synonymous
Correct.
with Island Grill.
Yes.
You're even wearing your pin right now.
Yes, I'm very proud of my pin.
So,
you know,
why the food business? And I ask because even your first business venture, you guys had the ice cream dairy castle, and then that evolved into Chicken Supreme, which evolved into Island Grill. But why food? And then tell me a little bit about the evolution.
So I think it was the opportunity that we saw. I used to go on trips with my husband, Michael, and my partner, David McCrae, also a pilot. And we saw opportunities. And we didn't see soft serve ice cream in Jamaica. So we said, okay, we're going to start an ice cream shop. And that's how Dairy Queen came about. And we found that ice cream alone wasn't quite making it. So we added hamburgers. And then we said, you know, I think we'd like to go further than that. And that's how it evolved into the chicken business. Chicken Supreme started off looking very foreign because Jamaicans have a bias. Oh, they have a bias for everything foreign, right? And we were competing against, of course, the big names, KFC, Burger King, and we realized that if we wanted to be successful, we should look foreign. So that's how we started off, looking very, very foreign. And my son designed this logo, this chicken head, that looked very foreign, blue and red, and those were our colors. But we didn't have success until we changed, we became Jamaicanized. We were okay as Chicken Supreme, but we really found a success in Island Grill.
And that's interesting and great, considering that you said, you know, Jamaicans like to gravitate toward foreign things. So we actually love our own too.
You know, I brought out the nationalism, if you want to call it that. But there are people just who are very loyal to the brand, and they want to see us succeed. And I remember when the Jamaican team qualified for World Cup, they asked us if we'd come. And my manager at the time, Mohan Jagnarayan, who now is a principal in Spurtree Spices, you know, and he was the one who said, Mrs. Lyn, we have to try jerk seasoning on the chicken. It's much too bland. And adding jerk seasoning to the chicken on the grill, which was also very new, it's healthy, better for you, that helped us to gain big success.
And speaking of big success, because Island Grill is indeed a big success. You know, I'm amazed, you know, every day just to see it continue to evolve and continue to progress and succeed. But a successful business doesn't come without a few bumps on the road. So tell us what you may consider the big bumps or the big hurdles and how you overcame them.
Well, you know, Tracy, big bumps, they were more like craters in the road. Early on in the business, we were FinSacked, and we had this horrendous overdraft facility that was just climbing because we're a young company, we didn't have the strength of cash. Every check you wrote, there was a penalty on it. I thought, having pulled through that I could do anything. I could conquer the world. And then years later comes COVID. And luckily, I had learned don't operate with an overdraft and also have a little war chest. And that war chest, plus the fact that I had been prudent with my personal money and had invested in NCB shares, and I followed advice, and that's a big thing, because if I'm sick, I go to a doctor. If I need to know how to invest my money, I come to NCB.
Right.
But if I didn't have that little war chest, and I preferred to use my own personal investments to pull us through rather than go into that war chest. And that pulled us through, but I couldn't have done it without my people, my staff. My son and daughter-in-law had moved back from the States. They were with me in the business, and they're very people-focused.
I'm very happy that you spoke about people focus, because my next question was heading right there. So you often like to underscore how important the people are in your business. You speak highly, and I'll also go into the philanthropic side of you later, but you speak highly of people. How important do you think that is to not just Island Grill, but any business, that focus and underscoring how important the people aspect is?
If you don't have people, you don't have a business. Your people have to be happy. If I don't keep my people happy, and I don't do it because, I might be philanthropic, but you have to live, right? And you have to understand. There won't be any culture in your business if you just don't treat your people properly. And my father always told us that. He says, remember, there are people around you all the time. And never forget where you came from. People went out of their way for you, and they probably didn't even know you. So you need to continue to always do that in life. So this ESG that is so popular now, we've lived by it. And this is what I'm finding in my late stage of my career, that everything we've been doing, it's grounded in family values, in people. And it's how do we now perpetuate it? Now, I don't have to worry because my son and daughter-in-law are very much that way. The people who start at the very bottom, we make sure that they earn a living wage, meaning they have to have bus fare, although we provide transportation. That takes a big chunk. We've tried some stores, you pay more bus fare than others. We try to get into details like that. We try to do book grants. And if I can't afford the tuition for their children, I say, apply to NCB Foundation. They're really good at it. We try to influence them, that they don't take out those loans that are so usurious. Oh, those are awful, Tracy. And then we guide them as best we can. We've had, people from NCB come in and speak to them about financial management, and it works. They need to look at what the interest rate is before they sign off.
And their ability to pay.
And yes. So we take an interest in our people.
I love that.
I love that. It comes back to you. It helps your culture. I want them to be happy, because if they're not happy and they give you a sour face.
Exactly. It impacts the customer experience. The employee experience is important to deliver this excellent customer experience.
And I know how hard it is for them. We realize it. So it doesn't make sense if we're doing well and they're not doing well. We have to do well so we can do good.
Yes. So speaking of doing good, I read that you were working on a United Nations gender-based seal stamp for the business. Tell me a little bit more about that.
It was a gender-based seal of approval, just to show that you were paying attention to the ladies in your organization. Equality is really what it is. And I was already doing that, and it came at a cost. So I thought, let me do something more meaningful. So actually, I work, but peripherally, I'd like to do more of it when I retire, with UN Women, because 80% of my workforce, of my total work population is female, and 95% of my managers, heads of department, are women. And I would love to see them excel, to go even further. So this is where I'd like to work a little more closely with, just for people to realize the equality of, having women on boards or wherever they need them. I think we have a lot to contribute, we can bring to the table.
I definitely agree. You mentioned a lot earlier your son and your daughter-in-law, right? So I distinctly remember a 2019 article, and even though COVID has passed, I'm sure your sentiments remain. You said you are ready to retire, and your son and daughter-in-law will be taking over. How did that succession plan come about, and what made you reach the point of being comfortable to hand over your baby?
Part of it is how they treat people.
It comes back to people again.
Yes, well, you see, they've lived in America. My daughter-in-law is American, and they've lived abroad more than they've lived in Jamaica. And I wanted to make sure that the baby was in good hands. The fact that they are very focused on people, the fact that it would be my daughter-in-law who actually would be the CEO, right? My son, they met in art school, and they keep saying, we went to art school, we didn't go to business school, but they have common sense, and they have all the right values, which is important. They want to make sure that any employee who comes into Island Grill, this is their first best job, and we can show that people have joined us. Some have stayed with us and they didn't want to go any further, so they still make the best festival, perfectly shaped and perfectly cooked. And some have gone on to be heads of department. So we feel that we're not just making it up. The record is there. And what we need to make sure is we always have to ensure that the culture is there, and that they look out for others, that they don't come and say, well, you come here, come see me. That they mentor and help the others coming up. And we try and get them heart certified along the way. We do it so that they can progress.
Right.
That they go right up to tertiary if they want to. And we have some who are, doing that now. It's a struggle because the hours are not very flexible.
But they try to make it work.
But it makes us feel good.
Yeah.
That we've been able to accomplish this, and it makes me feel good that it will continue with the next generation.
So have you set a date for the, that official handing over?
Yes, I shouldn't be telling my age, but in 4 years' time, I will be 80. And I think at 80...
I would like to look like you when I'm almost 80.
At 80, Tracy, I think I would like to really... I would still be like a helicopter. Maybe they want to shoot me out of the sky, but this will always be my baby. But what I've realized is that I haven't really formalized a number of things. Like we have good governance, but I haven't put it down in writing. We have a family business, and that's important that I develop the processes properly. And even like referring back to this UN Gender Seal of Equality, we do it, but it wasn't formalized within the business. So all of these things really
So you want to get the framework and the processes in place.
Yes. You can help me with that.
Of course.
And I'd love to start an Island Grill Foundation because we do it, but
That's true, because a lot of what you've spoken to are things that would come under the foundation.
Correct. So, and I think it would, as I say, I talk about my people, and they're into that, really into it. So it will make them feel as if they're contributing as well.
I love that. So as I said, I'm going to go into the philanthropic and people side, but I have one more business question.
Oh, wow.
And you can just whisper in my ears, right? Is there an IPO on the horizon? I know before you've mentioned being open to it, but it wasn't necessarily priority. But can we look out for an Island Grill IPO?
I think definitely. It's my vision. because I do feel, I get it so often.
Yes, I'm sure.
Well, people tell me, I go to Island Grill so often, you need to give me shares. I said, the day is coming. So it is what I would love to see, me as CEO and
Yes.
the majority owner. I would love to see that. Because here again, if my staff can own a piece
I
of
was
the
just
business.
about to say that, everything that you've spoken about, it would be good to, even give them a piece of,
Right.
of what they've been,
Yes.
been working towards.
But I just have to, as I said, formalize the
things.
processes, make sure I have the proper
Yes.
structure in
And
place.
we're here to help. So,
Yes, and yes, I know I can call on my NCB family.
Of course.
To guide me through to the final stage. And it has to happen before I'm 80.
by the time you blink, 4 years pass,
That's why my son says, Mom, you need to do it now, right? You can't go gallivanting all over the place. You need to sit down and do it. I say, yes. I mean, can you imagine your children dictating to you? And my grandchildren almost. Because they're like my grandson. He was my mentor, and I just told him, well, I've changed you out now. My granddaughter is my mentor.
But that's good that, you have that internal support
Yes.
to help you. I love that.
And Tracy, it's the young people. It's us trying with the foundation, moving towards digital transformation. It has to start here. I have to be transformed digitally.
Yep.
And it's a little harder at my age, but I'm learning, I'm listening, and I'm learning.
So you spoke about the foundation, right? And as I said, I kept saying, I'm going to come to it because your philanthropic ventures have been so impactful, right? I would say that philanthropy is a part of your core. I would even say it's in your blood because, your brother, the late Ray Chang, was an amazing human being too. So, clearly you guys grew up with this kind of value system, but you are a director of Mustard Seed Communities, you are chair of the NCB Foundation, and I have the pleasure of, being also a director on the foundation, having a front row seat to seeing that passion, and it's so admirable. You are passionate, you volunteer for everything, you as you said, you are transforming your mindset to take the foundation where it needs to go. What do you think drove that passion for philanthropy?
I think it was Daddy, my father, Gladstone Chang. What he made sure of was that he gave his siblings opportunity for a tertiary education. He didn't benefit from that because, my grandfather was the one who would have come originally from China as an immigrant, and Daddy was always being taken out of school to help with the business until he was at St. George's College. And the priest kept saying, you can't do that. He's so bright. You have to allow him to stay in school. And they gave him a scholarship. And that's why my brother Ray helped St. George's College, all along, because he remembered what Daddy, how it benefited Daddy. And Ray, he's my younger brother, right? So I won't say he learned from me, but he learned that we all have to be like that. It can't be just one of us. All of us have to live how Daddy lived. And we've done it pretty well.
I think so.
I think, when Daddy died, he really left the bulk of his money to the church because he wasn't born a Catholic, but he thought that the priests and nuns had been so good to us as a family. I went to Immaculate, and then I taught at Immaculate. He left his money to divide it up among different charities.
So your dad and your childhood experiences fueled this passion for philanthropy. Where did the passion for teaching come in? So you as you said, you taught at your alma mater, Immaculate. I think I read too you did like a substitute teaching stint in Miami, but where did that passion for teaching come from?
I always loved the teaching, but at Tracy, when I got my first paycheck, I realized that I wouldn't survive on that.
Just teaching.
And I felt that I'd been through, 3 years. Well, I expedited. I needed to get married. I had been going out with my husband for a long time. My father said, you have to be 21 and you have to graduate. So I did university, a 4-year course in 2.5, just so I could. And it was more of a stopgap, But I enjoyed it. I truly, truly enjoyed teaching. And maybe in my old age, I'll go back to it if I'm not too old.
But indirectly, you still do it now through Island Grill and what you said you've been doing with your team. Speaking of in your old age, I don't know when that will be because you look fabulous, but what do you think is next for you? I mean, you've achieved so much, you know, motherhood, you're a grandmother, the successful business owner, you've received the Order of Distinction, you're the second woman to be inducted in the PSOJ Hall of Fame, you're the honorary consul general to Thailand, so many things. You've done all these philanthropic projects. What would be next?
You know, I think I could slow down. You're looking at me and telling me, no, you'll never slow down. But I do like downtime, and I haven't had much of it. But I feel as if I could ease into it. I would like to continue in some of my projects. I really would. Like I was on the Arokabessa Foundation for a while. So the blue economy is something new to me, but I've really gotten into it. You know, when I see what is happening to the coral reefs and the overfishing. So I do, like if there are causes, it's not that I'm going to jump on every bandwagon, but if I can help in any way, because of the life I've lived, I have been able to network. You know, it has been very helpful. I've met wonderful people, and I think some of those connections, ties, they've become really good friends. I would like to see if I can help more in areas that might be even forgotten.
So to wrap up, Thalia, so personally, I'm very passionate about female empowerment, and so I admire persons like yourself, you know, women who have done so well, but also willingly send the elevator back down, right? And so my final question for you is, what advice do you have to, you know, women, young girls who are aspiring to have the kinds of successes that you have?
It's hard for me to give that kind of advice because I just kind of did it spontaneously. But Marianne Williamson, you know, everybody quotes her, and I think I know what she's saying is that our biggest fear is that we don't let ourselves shine, because I think I was like that. I didn't want to be enough and kind of, you know, look as if I wanted to be center stage, but what's wrong with that? Right? You can shine, you can be gorgeous if you want, and I'm very vain. I try hard to not be gorgeous, but at least look well put together.
Which you do.
Thank you. I need those compliments at my age, but what I will say, Tracy, is don't be afraid to just tackle anything, right? You can allow yourself to shine. You're doing yourself an injustice if you try and be a shrinking violet. You know, you can be powerful. You can be anything you really want to be. You won't all reach the pinnacle, but you could get very close, and that will satisfy you. So when you know that you have advanced anyway, you're going to feel so good about yourself.
That's so true.
Progress is a big thing. So just take the baby steps, watch your progress, and pat yourself on the back.
I love that. Thank you so much, Thalia. It was a pleasure. I mean, we don't have that many conversations outside of foundation-related activities, so I really enjoyed this. I hope you did too.
I did. You made me so relaxed.
Thank you.
I started to slow.